Right Networks gets your current accounting-based desktop and legacy applications into the cloud, so it's easier and more secure to share sensitive documents and data with your clients. This new flexibility allows you to cost-effectively grow your business and even reach new geographies. Right Networks knows your reputation is on the line, so go with a solution that's backed by Intuit. That's Right Networks. Give them a call now. 1-888-469-5905. That's Right Networks at 888-469-5905. Tell them Ron and Mike sent you.
Today, right here, right now, this is the moment that you will finally say,
I'm growing my accounting practice. And you're going to discover exactly how right here, right now on the Grow My Accounting Practice podcast.
episode 115.
Woo! The big one.
Yeah, everybody. Welcome. I'm Ron Saharian, co-founder of Profit First Professionals.
And I'm Mike McCallowitz, the other co-founder guy of Profit First Professionals.
The other guy.
The other guy, and the author of Profit First. And the new book, which has a new name, Ron. I got to tell you about that.
Yes.
It ain't prime time. We actually ditched that.
You changed prime time?
I didn't change it.
I love prime
It
time.
got rejected by the publisher. Yeah, they accepted it. Long story.
Okay.
So we got a brand new, and I'll reveal it later. And you, my friends, you're the ones who are important here. You are listening to GMAP. That stands for Grow My Accounting Practice. This is a show where we discuss every single step to growing your accounting, bookkeeping, or consulting practice, quite frankly, because that's where accounting and bookkeeping is going. And we give you an action step. We call it the GMAP Now task at the end of every episode, which helps you drive your practice forward immediately in the spot. Today we have a brand new Obi-Wan Kenobi, Psychology of Sale, and of course we interview a great guest. Today's topic being, how do you leverage outside resources to grow your practice?
Ooh, very nice.
None other than Jennifer Juguilon-Hottle will be here today to discuss that with us.
Absolutely. And of course you can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, Google Play, and of course, growmyaccountingpractice.com.
Yes. And we have, and there's so many bonuses. We have a free webinar series we're doing. I teach about once a month, different topics. And we used to do this exclusively for our paid-only members. Well, we've opened up at least a portion of it for free now. You have to send it free, as in no cost. Send a text. The text is GMAP, G-M-A-P. Send it to 678-506-7543, which I believe is my cell number. It's
No, it's not.
I know. It doesn't be funny. 678-506-7543.
It'd be funny if it was mine.
Yeah, it's Ron. You're sitting there, oh no, another GMAP, and you got to enter it. But send a text there, and we'll get you all signed up to get our access to our webinars. And you'll learn even more ways to grow your accounting practice. Last thing, Ron, I want to thank our corporate partners to make the show a reality.
Absolutely.
Do you want to roll them?
Yeah. Thank you, Funbox. Thank you, Nextiva. Thank you, Receipt Bank.
Yeah.
And of course, thank you, Right Networks.
Oh my.
Yeah. Thank you to all our corporate partners. I'll give you more details on those fine folks in just a minute. But now it's time to kick into our show. Her name, I'm letting the music play all the way through because I'm loving it. Her name is Jennifer Juguilon-Hottle. She's the president of J2H Consulting, which helps creative business owners get control of their finances. Over her 15 years as a consultant and as a certified Profit First coach with Profit First Professionals, she's seen how much stress money causes an entrepreneur firsthand. Now, a couple things that she does. She helps small business owners gain clarity on their numbers. That's what you should be doing with your practice. She has done guest speaking for medical groups, gaming conferences. Jennifer and I actually had a nice long conversation about that at the airport one day. And also women's incubators. And she teaches accounting and finances for undergraduate and graduate collegiate courses. The one thing you don't know about Jennifer is she likes strawberries, but not strawberry-flavored foods.
Huh.
Like a Napoleon ice cream, she'll puke halfway through it because of the strawberry flavoring. Jennifer, welcome to the show.
Hi, how you guys doing?
Is there any strawberry-based foods that you like besides strawberries themselves?
Not really. No, I don't like strawberry candy or, or even strawberry ice cream. I do like strawberries though, but I'm the opposite.
Really?
I'm the opposite when it comes to cherries.
I know that. Like you like cherry-flavored foods, but you don't like cherries.
No, I don't.
You know, cherries make I have allergic reaction to cherries. It makes my throat swell. Yeah.
Oh my God.
I know. It stinks.
And you're not missing out on that much.
Yeah.
But
Not just a cherry on top.
Yeah.
that's true. That's true. So, Jennifer, I think consulting practices, accounting firms, bookkeeping firms, it's all about leveraging resources, but maybe they're doing it the wrong way. They're constantly buying tools and software and the newest things. They're trying to leverage things, and they don't go the right way. You're saying you need to leverage resources in the right way. What does that mean?
Well, what I find that it means is that they need to be able to make that investment into either outside resources, tools that will really help them grow, and not just either do one extreme where they're buying every, shiny new thing that they're seeing, and it's because it's nice and trendy, or the complete opposite where they just kind of, just save money, I'm just going to do everything myself. So there's a balance between knowing what you can do or what you should be doing, I should say, and what would be the best ways to grow your business using outside resources.
Yeah, you're right. There is that. It does seem one or the other. The new shiny application, I got to get it, cutting edge, constantly. And then there's the other, like, I'm not going to spend a penny. So I agree. You got to strike the balance. The question is, how do you even start to figure out what the balance is?
Yeah, and I own my own business too, and I think everyone's fallen into when you're first starting out, right? You want to you're kind of in that startup mode, so you're trying to use your limited resources. You're trying to use it the best you can, like in using profit first, right? You're trying to make sure that you're optimizing everything. But as you're growing and you have more money coming in, it's easy to try and I need all of these new things. So really where the balance, I think, comes is I'm a huge TV junkie. I mostly binge watch. Unfortunately, I don't get a chance to watch actual live television anymore. But one of my favorite shows is Last Man Standing. And one of the characters was starting a new business, and she was feeling so overwhelmed about doing all these things to run her business. And her husband said, you don't hire people to do the things that you love to do. You hire people to do the things that you really don't like to do or aren't really in your zone of genius, your wheelhouse to do. So I think when you're starting out and trying to figure that out, that would be the place to start is, okay, so you think of like bookkeeping. There are so many solutions out there, softwares and things that are so accessible to people. Most people know your QuickBooks, your Zeros, things like that, of FreshBooks. But, right. And there are tons of tutorials on how to do it. But one of the things I also teach, because I teach accounting to students, is these tools are wonderful, and they always question, why do we have to learn everything by hand, learning how to do journal entries? Because you have to understand all of the elements that go into it. How do you properly categorize everything? So I think when it comes to something like bookkeeping, where you can fundamentally learn the tool, unless you really understand what's going on behind it, you're never going to get really good numbers, never good reports to help you in the end make those decisions that you need to make.
So are you saying that some of the available tools out there are, making it so that people don't necessarily have to understand the why, just the how to execute?
Yeah, I think don't get me wrong, these are really great tools. And I think depending on the complexity of your business, some people probably could. But beyond understanding how to use these tools effectively, the other thing is that how much time are they putting into doing something like that? And again, going back to bookkeeping or the accounting, if you're putting a lot of, and this is not your primary business, if you're spending more time doing that rather than your time being spent on getting your new clients or developing your products or your services and really growing that business, it's not the most cost-effective solution to be then. So that point, that's a good time to realize, okay, maybe it's better to spend that money and those resources going to an outside service or hiring somebody if that's the case, so I can focus on really what do I do best.
Right. Well, how do you know when it's actual time? Like, how do you know whether or not you should invest in a person or technology, or both.
Well, I think it goes back to how well are you growing your business, how it kind of goes back to a fundamental too, especially because I work a lot with more small businesses, 1 and 2 business owners, some solopreneurs, and part of it too is, are you pulling your hair out trying to do these administrative things that ultimately is starting to make you resent being in your business? So I mean, yes, there's benchmarks, there's numbers you can look at, things like that. But part of when I talk to business owners too is some of them are just fundamentally unhappy and frustrated with trying to understand all of that. And I think at that point, that's the time to start thinking about, okay, maybe this really isn't something I should be focusing all my time with.
That reminds me of when Mike and I were first starting doing this, and what reminded me was when you said the word frustration, and one of the biggest frustrations that I had early on was the fact that scheduling. Like it was taking forever just to get on the phone, back and forth, this, that, and it's one of the biggest problems that many new businesses have is just, how do you schedule time? How do you make sure you do it? So one of the things that we did that really worked out well, and was one of the best things I ever did, was implement a You Book Me link. A calendar link.
Right.
Because you saw the frustration on me, like, man, I'm spending more time scheduling people than I am actually speaking with people.
Right.
So I think that's it. The one indication is, what is the level of frustration? What is the bottleneck? What is really going on that's stymieing you from doing what you want to do to grow the business?
Do you find the same thing, Jennifer, that frustration point?
Yeah, it's fun. It's funny you say it. You talk about implementing like a scheduling tool, because that was something I personally was having an issue with too, in my business, where I would take these client meetings. I would go through my pitch, and we go through the proposal, and then they would say, okay, great, let's sign on. And because I didn't have any real automation to what I did, there was so much time lag between that it's so, I was kind of starting to not close some of these deals, and I'm like, what the heck's going on? And so that's when same thing, was frustrated. I'm like, they want to work with me, but something happened in that time lag, and there was just so much time involved that I started implementing some tools where I got a scheduling app, and I started scheduling. People could schedule on my site faster. I was able to. I created templates for contracts and for auto payments and auto signing, so that my turnaround significantly was reduced, and now I'm starting to close deals. So that made a huge difference. And again, looking at selecting tools, those are the tools that are now that's worth investing, because now I'm closing deals and getting clients signed on a little faster.
Right, and I've noticed in our in one of our Facebook groups, there's actually this conversation going on right now. What scheduler? What automated scheduler tool do we like? What do we use? Whether it's this one, that one, or another one. And it's great to see the community all giving their feedback. And when I was talking to Angie, who actually posted the question, I said, I use this one because it suits me. However, throw it out on the Facebook group into our community and see, maybe something syncs with Xero or QuickBook, or does something else that I don't need that you need. And it was amazing. I didn't know there's that many scheduling tools out there.
Yeah,
and it's neat to see how people are really, really sharing what's happening.
Yeah.
So, well, Jennifer, tell me about that. When you pick the different resources you're going to use, and we're talking about tools now, I want to shift on in a second, but when we find tools like Ron was suggesting, a scheduler, what do you have to evaluate around it? Is the accounting system important? Is it the way you function that's important? What are the things I should consider?
Again, interesting that you're bringing that up too, because I'm actually now in the process of even improving some of the automation things I do. And a good friend of mine is actually beta testing a program built around that. How do you select the right tools to create really like workflow? And so when I was doing it, and going through her program, first I outline the workflow. So I'm looking at like a client onboarding. So how can I improve that so that I'm making sure that the client's happy, things are getting done really quickly? So I outline the workflow, all the elements that I need to have happen. And then I started looking actually at the tools I already had. So that's something else too that some people, again, going back to the whole, the shiny object, thing is, look at what you already have to use. Is there a way that you can still, talking about leveraging your resources, if you already have it, so there's a lot of free things out there too that work great. Can it fit into that? And so when I started doing that, I was going through, there are some really great all-in-one tools. So like for me, the tools that I would need are things making sure I was spending a lot of time responding to emails and doing things really manually on my own, and it was just taking up so much of my time, and I felt like I was always missing out on something. So I looking for a tool that I could just set up that workflow, getting a contract out, getting it signed, getting the payment in, getting the welcome packet already done and ready and out the door, so that I could just set it up, ready to go, and I didn't have to think about it. It was all done automatically. So those were the things as I was putting that process together and looking at tools is what's going to get it done, get it out the door quickly, and free up my time so I can get focused on really the meat of it, which is the client work.
All right, talking about a client, can a client dictate what resources you're using? I mean, can't they influence that significantly? How do you manage that?
They can, in some, I think part of it too, because I've worked with coaches, meaning I have a coach that I work with, and she has tools that she uses, and it was one of those, okay, she never said, well, maybe we'll try this, we'll try that. No, here are the tools I use. We're going to do our calls this way. We're going to communicate this way. So I think, part of it too is finding clients that some of them are comfortable with technology, some aren't. But in this day and age, because I work virtually quite a bit, those would be the clients that would be ideal for me, is ones that are comfortable using technology. And I don't use anything overly complex, but that it just kind of depends on the client, whether they need you to be on site. Again, with me, I'm mostly virtual, so the clients that look for me are ones that are looking are comfortable enough with using the tools that I use.
Are there any major areas or that you've come across that you can foresee the eventual need for some sort of tool to automate? I mean, I know we just talked about scheduling, but is there some some common areas that you're seeing that maybe our audience can get ahead of them?
I mean, in terms of like workflow?
Whether it's workflow, whether it's automation of sending proposals.
Oh,
I mean,
sure.
where do you see the frustrations and the bottlenecks where automation or tools or resources are quite prevalent?
So I think I know for me, some of the frustration came because I was trying to customize. Trying to overly customize, like every single person that came in got a customized package. And that's just, it's time consuming because you have to manually do everything. So I think there are ways that you can set up packages. So I think the frustration actually comes from once the client has agreed to work with you, just getting all of the paperwork out the door and getting him, getting your contract and getting them to get payments in, getting deposit in, or getting some fundamental documents. So, knowing what the workflow is going to be and the welcome packet. I think getting that going faster, at least for me, made a big difference in getting to, so the other thing too is that it keeps things moving. It lets the client know that, yep, we're not just going to sit on this. We're going to get to work. We're going to get your solution. We're ready to go. And, they don't want to wait around. They want to be able to, they came to you for a reason. They came to you because they're having a problem. They need that solution. So it gives them that comfort to know that you are ready to go. And I think automation, some of that automated or that part of that process getting automated kind of instills that in them, rather than having to waiting for documents or following up with you to say, okay, when are we getting started? And so instead of them chasing you, you're leading it. You're leading them to that solution.
I want to jump over to the human resource now. You mentioned coaches, that you hired a coach. Actually, Ron and I work with a coach. Should an accounting practice or bookkeeping practice, regardless of their size, should they consider a coach? If so, or if not, why?
That I think depends. I'll tell you, I was a good year into my business before I hired a coach, and the decision for me came because I had taken my business, I think, as far as I could, and I realized that there were parts of my business that I tried to learn everything on my own. There's so many great resources out there. I mean, GMAP's got great ones. Profit First, the groups I'm in.
GMAP's excellent.
I mean, there are.
It's a good point. It's a good
Profit
point.
First is not, it's pretty good too.
Yeah, but I mean, there's some wonderful resources that are out there that I inhaled as much as I could. But there's something about the accountability factor, and I think just the behavioral, the human part. Life happens. I've got a family. I've got little children. I've got a husband. I've got other things going on in my life besides my business that, and I don't know if it's not specific to women, but there's so many things you just constantly want to take care of everybody that you're the last person that you tend to take care of. And so if you're owning your own business too, if you're the only one that you have to account to, it's really easy to put it off and say, okay, I set a goal that I'm going to, get 6 clients this month. And maybe that doesn't, that's okay. I'll make it up next month. Well, if you have no one with something like that, it's so easy to keep putting things off, and then you're never going to hit those goals. And that was what was happening with me. So that was at the point where I said, you know what, I need someone to step in, and I needed someone to walk me through with, hand in hand, not only helping me get clear, getting focused on really what I want to be doing, because I was kind of all over the place. But at the same time, making sure, here's what you're doing this week. I'm going to talk to you next week. Tell me what's going on. Didn't you do this? And really holding me accountable on that. And it really, I tell you, knowing that someone was expecting me to have to meet a certain milestone or a goal made a huge difference in really moving my business forward and getting me past that hump.
What about the emotions? When Ron and I are in the business, we both have our emotional attachment. I found that an outside coach doesn't have an emotional attachment, so they can see it from a different vantage point. Have you found that to be true? Yes or no? And then I'm curious, how does that serve a accounting or bookkeeping practice to have someone that's not emotionally attached to how your business is running?
I think having that unemotional attachment is helpful. Now, I'll tell you, yes, but with a caveat to understand the fact that it's still people. And that's one thing that I think is almost a fine line particularly when you're someone who works with numbers and completely analytical, and you're trying to make best decisions you can based on numbers. I work a lot with healthcare providers, and a lot of healthcare providers aren't numbers people. So I have to educate them a lot on that. And so what I find too is that having somebody who is unattached helps them. You can help them actually see objectively. Maybe if their business isn't running profitably well and they're overextended maybe in their expenses, start looking at some things. And particularly something sensitive like staffing. Right? Maybe you're overly staffed for what you do. Maybe you were well staffed in the beginning, but here's where your business is at right now. This is what you can support. And it helps them really kind of see something that can be very difficult. Again,
but hold on one second.
Yeah.
1 second there, Bucko.
Yeah.
These are accounting firms and bookkeeping firms.
Yeah.
These are numbers people we're talking to. Everyone listening right now, they know their numbers inside and out. You think they're overstaffed? I'm being kind of hypocritical here.
Do I think accounting firms are overstaffed?
Yeah. Could they? I mean, they know their numbers. Why would they need a coach?
It's funny. I do. I think they could be, because when you're in the weeds of your own business, it's hard to see. Particularly if you're dealing with that, it's easier sometimes to see objectively somebody else's because you don't know all the decisions. There were a lot of probably decisions sometimes are made with emotion, especially when it's your own business. There could be a reason things are going on. And when somebody objectively comes in and says, yeah, this doesn't make a lot of sense, and helping them see that. So even accountants and bookkeepers who, yes, they're excellent with numbers, obviously, and understand that it's because you're always so focused on your clients, it's sometimes hard to see, even with your own business. So having somebody else objective come in and just be that, again, that accountability partner, really, I think it helps with growth too. It helps you keep your eye on the ball.
Right, and I would agree. I see it often from the accounting, bookkeeping, and financial advising sectors having a lot of employees. And it's not that they're hiring too many employees. They're not upgrading or letting go of employees. There is that emotional attachment to it. And it's a very difficult thing, especially if you're in a small business and you started and somebody's been with you for 3-4 years, but you've outgrown them, in essence, potentially, and, keeping them around and being loyal. And being that word loyal to the employee sometimes can have an adverse effect on the company in a whole. Because if you're keeping around an employee that is, maybe negative, not holding up their own end of the bargain, unproductive, and, not doing stuff, you're not being loyal to yourself, your family, or the other employees who are holding up their end of the bargain.
Yeah. Save one, but destroy the whole ship.
Right,
kind of thing.
right.
Yeah.
Like if you don't listen, you want a soft landing, you got a cracked wing.
Yeah.
Well, here's the comfortable truth, and that's what uncomfortable truth, and that's what a coach should give you.
Yeah.
I also want to take a step back a little bit. I coming out of more of a corporate environment into the entrepreneurial environment, coaching was totally new for me. I didn't believe it. I didn't, see it. I didn't realize there's a true value of it. But now that I'm in it, and our coach has really helped Mike and I in a lot of different ways, a lot of ways that, quite honestly, I didn't think they could.
Yeah.
And I'm a pretty strong, passionate person, and so is Mike. And while we get along great, there are a lot of communication differences that we have and backgrounds in how we grew up. And, I highly encourage all of you out there that if you're having communication issues or if you're stuck or things just aren't working well, we call our guy a marriage counselor.
Right.
But
the fact is, we wouldn't be talking right now. We wouldn't even be talking.
Right.
Because of the way we approach things is so different without someone that kind of mediates and gave us tools to be communicating through, challenge that every business goes through. But, Jennifer, the costs, they're not cheap. So here's a resource that every accounting and bookkeeping firm should consider. Even if you're a solo practitioner, having a coach is great. But how can you justify affording that? Can you?
Yeah, and that's a good question, because you're right. The good coaches aren't. Just like any good service is not cheap if you're thinking of it in terms of that. But this is where thinking of it in terms of an investment versus a cost, or even somebody, even if you have to go into, if you have to borrow or going into debt for it, it obviously you don't jump into it. You have to think about it through. But think about what it will do for you. Where are you at right now? Can you get there with what you've been doing, right? Or would having that investment, will it help you move forward, get you where you think you need to be, or where you want to be? And then, as a numbers person, it's just at that point, would the investment reap the benefit of, is it more sales, lower your costs, keep you accountable, keep you organized, whatever the case may be. All of that can factor into the numbers part, the bottom line of things. So for me, when I hired my coach, I looked through a lot of coaches, actually, and there are some wonderful, wonderful ones out there. But I knew what my limitations were. I needed someone that not was just going to be a sounding board for me, but was going to actually help me and give me tangible actions. This is what I needed to know exactly every week. What was I going to be doing to move forward? And so the one I chose was somebody who was going to do that for me and do that on a weekly basis and do it in a long-term fashion. And I knew it was going to be a substantial investment, but I also knew, seeing now, especially the benefit of the fact that I've been able to turn my business around and get clear. And not only that, the biggest thing for me is being able to get out there, both online and going to networking groups and feeling confident in what I'm doing has made such a difference. So yeah, it's a substantial investment, and it's not something you jump into lightly. But then at the same time, what aren't you going to be able to do if you don't do it?
Right. And if you can, walk us through that process, how you determined what you needed. Because quite honestly, I would not have selected our coach if it was up to me. Quite honestly. And, I hear often that, I didn't get a return on my coach. And then I hear other ones, oh, my God, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for my coach. I mean, is there some sort of self-awareness that we have to go through and how to determine, what type of coach and their mentality is? Because I don't need to be held accountable personally. It's not one of my weak points. Communication is, and but I didn't think it was. How would you suggest somebody go about determining what would be the best avenue, or what is the best avenue to decide on what type of coach you may need?
Well, for me, my process, it was I had been thinking about it for several months before I hired mine, and I started off being in a lot of different Facebook groups, and I had done a lot of courses and things like that, just to kind of, as I was getting towards the end of last year, I wanted to make it one of those, you want to make a New Year's resolution, right? You want to do something different. And I knew that I wanted to move. My business wasn't moving forward. I couldn't put my finger on it necessarily, but part of it was I had to take an assessment. What was it about me? What did I think about me that was limiting me to doing making a success of what I wanted to do? And for me, it was focus. I have accountability was a big one for me, but also having tangible actions, knowing how to actually decide who is my target market, deciding certain goals, and then being able to break it down and understand that. So for myself, it was, I didn't feel comfortable going to networking events because I didn't know how to answer that question. So what do you do? And so I shied away from that, which, impeded me being able to grow and network and doing all those things. But also it came down to, I just couldn't define myself and what I do. And that's part of what was limiting me. And I couldn't figure out how to do that. So in selecting my coach, not only being able to be hand in hand with me, because I wasn't looking for that self-paced kind of thing. I tried that, and that wasn't how I function. So Ron, I think you kind of hit it there, where there are so many different kinds of coaches with so many different approaches. The best way to find the one that suits you is you do have to take some stock in, what do you think? Where, what is it you really, and be honest, what is it you really think that you need? There's nearly no, you can't, there's no pride in that one. I mean, you just kind of have to understand, have a little bit of self-realization.
All right, so we're talking about resources, and that's what we're dedicating this episode to. We've talked about software resources. We talked now about coaching. Are there other resources that accountants and bookkeepers should be considering?
Yeah, so I was actually just speaking at a network group yesterday, and we talked about, one of the topics that came up was having a good advisory board makes a huge difference with your business. Yeah. And by that, it's not like a board of directors, nothing formal like that. What it is that you have certain people that have certain specialties that can really help support your business. So you make sure, maybe you've got a good CPA, right? A good coach or a business advisor, a financial advisor. They can all be in one. And I know you guys have talked about how, bookkeeping is kind of moving past that whole transactional, and really, how do you offer additional services, these are the areas. And it's in being that partner in addition to providing those numbers. But, having a good insurance agent with you so that you can predict certain risk management, things like that. And so in terms, again, leveraging your resources, there are certain resources that are worth investing. I had a client that I worked with who is developing a brand new product and is now seeking substantial funding. And she actually having one of the part of pitching for that is her saying, who does she have on her team or her advisory board that is going to make her new products or service successful. And having somebody like me on her team made a big difference in her pitches. So that's another thing with accounting and bookkeepers is when you've got good advisors on your team, it makes a big difference when you are, in terms of credibility, in terms of making sure that your business is protected and looking at it from all the different angles that maybe are kind of, again, outside of your zone of genius. Hello?
Brian, we still got you.
Uh-oh.
We got to drop.
Yeah, hello.
I'm here.
Oh.
Jennifer, can you... Yeah, she dropped on that connection. I'm not sure what it was.
I don't know where I left. Okay, where did I leave?
All right, so we're going to... Yeah, do you remember? Do you want me to ask you the question again?
Yeah, I'll repeat it, I guess. I just don't know where, if you want to just do it all over.
Yep.
Okay.
All right, Brian, well, I'm going to do a clap, so you got a mark, and then we're going to do it again. So, Jennifer, we've been talking about coaches. We've been talking about software resources. In this episode, we're dedicating to all the resources that accountants and bookkeepers should have or should consider. Besides coaches and software, are there other resources that people should be considering?
Yeah, and there are. And I was speaking at a group yesterday, and we started talking about advisory, having a good advisory board, and what.
Oh, I like that. I like that.
And what that is that, it's nothing formal like a board of directors or something. These are the people, outside resources that use kind of trusted advisors that you surround yourself with that are specialists in their particular area that really cover all the different facets of your business. So maybe you've got a good legal advisor, a good CPA and financial advisor, insurance agents, so that you can make sure that you're mitigating, risk management depending on your business. And because there's so many things change in a business environment, as part of why a CPA really is incredibly valuable too, is because how IRS laws change so much. Knowing you have that someone there that can help advise you there as well. So having really a good team or advisory is really, I think, critical in making sure that your business grows appropriately and you're considering all the different options.
I love that. Now, we got to wrap up in just a minute, but I do want to ask you one more thing before we go. Mm-hmm. Board of advisors, it sounds really amazing for me as the accountant or bookkeeper to get those folks to support me. But will these people just step up and do it for free? How do I form a board of advisors? It seems pretty intimidating.
Well, no, it doesn't. I mean, when they actually, sell you a product, no, it's not going to be for free. But I mean, like, for example, a good insurance agent, they charge you obviously when you buy their, the right policies and things, but they're available all the time. If you are concerned, maybe like I just advised a client and put one together with a insurance agent concerning cybersecurity, because they're a medical practice and dealing with like HIPAA issues. And he gave a really good, okay, here's what's going on right now. Here's a policy that would help you, and this is why. So something like that. So, I mean, do they do it for, you don't have to necessarily have them on retainer. This is where...
right, it's not necessarily like a meeting for a half day where everyone's coming in around the conference room table. These are people that are the first ones you call to.
Right.
This is your list of true advisors, but not a formal board where they're all working together at the same time.
Right. Yeah, these are your go-to people.
These are go-tos. Okay, the
Yeah.
go-to board. I like that even better than an
Yeah.
advisory board.
Right.
The GTB, the go-to board.
My ecosystem of professionals.
Yeah, well, I
Yeah.
like that one too.
There you go.
All right, we got to rock and roll here, Jennifer. The time is flying by here. Before we let you go, though, I want to know where our listeners can find out more about you. Maybe ping you with some questions.
Yeah, sure. So they can go to my website, j2hconsulting.com. I also have a Facebook page at J2H Money Coach as well. You can find me on LinkedIn. I also have a podcast as well that they can go to. Crush the Journey.
What's the podcast?
Crush the Journey.
Crush the
Crush
journey.
the
We're actually
Journey.
getting ready to
Crush
launch
the
season,
journey, baby.
Great podcast.
season
Great
2.
guest.
So yeah.
Season 2, baby.
Yeah.
We're still in season 1. It's the longest season ever. we do our seasons every 10 years. Jennifer, as always, it's a joy. Thanks for coming back. We don't have too many repeat guests, but we just love the information you have to share. So
And we'll
thank
be
you.
seeing you soon, right?
Oh, ProfitCon.
Oh, first of all, thank you. I loved being here. I always love talking to you guys. But no, unfortunately, I won't be at ProfitCon this year. I'm heartbroken. But the conference that I speak, a video game conference that I speak at every year, bumped it up by a month. And
Boo.
I know. I'm so sorry.
No more help for you.
All right, this episode we're on broadcast. This will be cut. No, don't worry about it. And this goes live on 9/28. So if you're listening to this live, ProfitCon is happening right now.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So Ron and I are partying. All right, Jennifer, thanks for joining us today.
Awesome. Nice
Hi.
job, Jen.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So, whoops, oh, my soundboard's gone. So here's the deal as I try to scramble to the soundboard. I got it back. So here's the deal, Ron. We are going to summarize what we learned.
Yep.
We got a special Obi-Ron today, and of course the GMAP Now task. But first, that's what I was looking for. That
Oh,
sound
the air
effect.
conditioning just came
Yeah,
on.
yeah. I was
Didn't feel
getting
good.
hot. It's getting hot, yeah.
Sorry.
I want to thank our corporate partners to make the show a reality. Right Networks, I talked about them in the beginning. Take that online accounting system and get it on the cloud. Everyone's saying, you got to get QBO or Xero or some other cloud-based system. But what if you love QBD or some other desktop program? Maybe you have the old Peachtree. Right Networks puts that on the web for you.
It was funny. I did a survey in our group, and I asked, what are the different software packages you got? I was surprised to see how many were still on desktop.
It's just a superior functionality with desktop still.
Right.
So Right Networks puts that stuff on the web for you. So you can be web-enabled and have all that functionality your clients and you need. Call Right Networks at 888-469-5905. They'll hook you up. I also want to thank Fundbox. That's a cash flow accelerator. I don't know. I didn't tell you. I was in California for about 3 hours. Dave Tolkien's like, let's go work out. But I'm like, dude, I'm between flights. If I got 4 hours, I would. So Tolkien's, he's just awesome.
Yeah.
But that's a cash flow accelerator. If any of your clients have an invoice due to them, Fundbox will release the funds in its entirety to your client. Take care of that.
And speaking of productivity tools and resources, don't forget about Receipt Bank.
Oh, my God, I almost forgot.
Yeah, we talked about a scheduler link, but for you in the accounting world, having Receipt Bank, being able to process those receipts, it really is the ultimate productivity saver.
It's a great productivity tool.
I did it today. I used it today.
I used it today also.
Yeah.
And then Nextiva is a voice over IP phone system.
Great.
Today, right now, they are at ProfitCon with us.
Yeah.
They're giving away a free phone system.
A free.
See?
Those guys are awesome.
They're
Is
amazing.
Kristen coming back?
No, Kristen's not coming back, but
Okay.
Max is, and Molly's here today.
Oh, awesome.
So
These guys are awesome.
they're amazing.
Yeah.
And a free phone system, here's the deal. It's like up to 10 phones
It's insane.
for life.
Yeah.
And they're a very affordable phone system, but it ain't free.
Didn't they give a special gift as well last
year,
Yeah.
someone said they needed a phone system. I said, here you go.
Right.
So extraordinary company, extraordinary phone system. We've been using them. Unfortunately, we have to pay for ours, but it's well worth it. You can have a free one possibly if you're at ProfitCon. All right, Ron, let's summarize what we learned, and then I want to get your Obi-Ron technique. You want to go first?
Yeah, sure. I'd love to go first. And, I learned a lot. We talked about three different things, basically. The need for productivity saving tools.
Oh my.
Yeah.
the need for support and how to use these things and where. But one of the things, frustration. That is when you really start to need to take a look at tools. to eliminate those frustrations. That's what I took away. And it's not necessarily always going after the new and latest, greatest, shiny new object versus, I'm not spending that kind of money. I'll do it myself. No, I think, you measure the frustration level. And if it's that high that's taking you away from doing your job and growing your business, then yeah, you got to hire somebody to do that work, or you got to find a tool that will accomplish the same thing so you can grow your business and focus on that aspect of it.
Yeah, I think the stuff I learned is very similar. Have other people or resources do the things that's not your key talent. Same idea, right? So keep pulling away stuff from you. Don't take on more work. Actually start sloughing it off. That's how you get used resources. What's your point of frustration? You mentioned that already. Look at the numbers. Really dig into the numbers with your staff. And understand things from a non-emotional standpoint,
right?
Where you're not emotionally attached. Pull on that outside resource, that coach, and then have an advisory board. Love that.
I love the advisory board, but also if you don't have an advisory board, you can always join a peer group or a mastermind group.
Yeah, and they can function in a very similar capacity. All right, Ron, it's time for you to whip out that lightsaber.
All right, here we go.
What this is, the Obi-Ron Psychology of the Sale, a technique that you can use to distinguish yourself in the market and grow faster than ever before.
Yeah, and this is a little internal one, and what I want to talk about is the meaning of money. Okay, and what does that really mean? When people talk about it, what does it mean to them? How do we use it to encourage them? Often we're using money as a motivator, and it doesn't always work.
I agree 100%.
Right? And I'm like, why? And basically we feel, or we've believed that giving people a raise, they're going to be more productive, right? Not necessarily always the truth, because we tend to think that way, but others may not have the same view. So here's what you can do for your accounting practice. When you're considering using money as a motivator, consider the complexity of the multitude meanings of money for people so that you can customize how you use that money to best affect the results you want. Let me give you an example. Some see money as time. Some see money as power. Some see money as various different things. And I'd be more than happy to email anybody a list of all that. But those who see money as time, they say time is money, but really money is a time. We're exchanging our time working to get the money so we can pay for things that we want to do. So maybe it's not a cash bonus for somebody like this. Maybe it's just not an incremental salary raise. Maybe it's a week vacation that they earned. Maybe it's something that they're needing the money so they can have free time with their family. So maybe it's a couple days off or an extended weekend. So before you go ahead and just drop that money down, take a look and try to understand what money means to that particular person. And you might find out that instead of giving, a $500 bonus, sending them on a weekend trip with their family for $500 is going to get you a lot more.
Yeah, I really like that.
Yeah.
That was good. Oh! One more thing that I like.
I hear this all the time, and I can't get it. Much of it I don't like.
It's such a good song. Yeah. Oh my God, I love it song. Well, you know what that means? It's time for the GMAP Now task.
Do it now.
Do it now. Do it now. It's the one task. If you do it, you will see results. It's real simple. It's getting to those frustrations. Here's what you do. I want you to track your work for the next week, so the next 5 business days that you work. Just write down things as you do them. It doesn't have to be perfect. Write them down. At the end of 5 days, next to each task, put either a smiley face, one of those straight line faces, like where you're like not loving it and I hate it. Yeah, an face, right? Or a frowny face. The frowny faces are the frustration points. Those are the first things you need to outsource and get a resource to take place for that.
Absolutely. If you find yourself doing a lot of time administrative stuff, boom, there you go, VA.
Well, that's what frustrates you. You may enjoy that. Whatever frustrates you is the idea.
Right. Nice job, Mike. Yeah. I really like that. And I really want to thank all you listeners today. And thank you, Jennifer, for sharing your insights. And you can join us every week, every Thursday. You can review us on Stitcher, iTunes, Google Play, TuneIn Radios. And, of course, we'd love to get your 5-star ratings.
Yeah, we hope we earned it. Please leave your comments there. And hey, one more thing. Come over to ProfitFirstProfessionals.com. We're looking to expand the family with the right people. If you're an accountant, if you're a bookkeeper, if you're a consultant, looking to grow a financial coaching aspect, if you want to help your clients become more profitable, if you see the change going on in the accounting world, moving away from this historical data entry to true consulting, well, we're the team to help you get there. That's exactly what we do. I wrote a book around this whole subject. We've built a company together around this whole subject. We helped over 180 people, accountants and bookkeepers, become profit first consultants. You can do the same. You got to take one step. Go to profitfirstprofessionals.com. There's a Become button up there. Click on the Become button. There's a little video explains what we do. Fill out the form. They'll connect you with Ron or someone else here on the team. We'll explore it. If it's a fit, time to go to the races and make your clients more profitable and make your business more profitable than ever.
Get on this rocket ship, baby, because it's helping people.
Yeah. Take off with us. All right. ProfitFirstProfessionals.com. Do it now. And we'll catch you next week on GMAP.
See ya.